Hi, everyone, and welcome to Elevate Your Life on Dr. T TV. I'm Dr. T, and this is the place where emotionally sensitive people get the emotional tools they need to succeed. With me today is a globally phenomenal guest that I feel so privileged to get to share this time with, and I want to tell you a little bit about her before I introduce her. This is Preity Upala, who is a global thought leader, a media personality, and a Hollywood entrepreneur. Aren't you excited already? She is a geopolitical expert and writes for numerous international publications. She's an international speaker and has spoken at Horasis and WEF, the World Economic Forum, and at the Rice-Ina Dialogues, also at Freedom Fest. And she has her own radio show and podcast called The Preity Experience. Her book will be published later this year. As a certified Dharma ambassador, she writes and speaks on Sanatan Dharma and Vedic civilization wisdom. And Preity, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Namaste, Dr. Tracy,
Namaste.
And namaste to all your wonderful audience and everyone tuning in. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here having this wonderful conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I really feel like my whole life is elevating just being in the presence of somebody like yourself that is really living their purpose, living their dharma, and really out there in the world inviting other people to do the same. I feel a real kinship with you and also feel like there's just so much to learn from you. And so let's get started by really having you share, Preity, what it is about, the journey you've been on and the way that's gone that has led you to be at this moment and really be a person of influence doing really important work in this world.
Wow. Well, thank you again for having me on your show and to be able to share my journey. I always hope and think and wish that my story inspires others, and people will find me at different stages in their life, and even if they get one nugget out of it, I know it's been worth it. For me, it's been interesting changing professions. So I grew up in the Middle East. I've had quite an interesting upbringing, let's say, growing up Middle East, and then lived in Europe before moving to Sydney, Australia, of all places. And then there I studied, I went to university, I worked in the corporate world as a banker and a management consultant, but the corporate world wasn't for me, wasn't my dharma in life. So my spiritual journey also started at the same time when I was feeling very dissatisfied with my career, let's say, and anyway, it culminated and I made a decision to just, turn away from that world and dive into the unknown and change career paths, without knowing where the end destination will be. And my meditations told me that I'm creative, I'm artistic, I should be using all of my abilities, to express myself, like speaking, writing, dancing, movement, performance. So I think entertainment was the natural fit. It came up and I realized, you get one shot at life and I don't want any regrets. So I gave up cold turkey what I was doing, and I knew that entertainment was the way. Very briefly, I studied and worked as an actor in my hometown of Sydney before I won a scholarship to study film in the US, in America, in New York. And when that came through, I knew that my life was going to change. I didn't think about it. I got that one-way ticket from Sydney to LA, and that was 10 years ago. And my journey has been quite magical since. I am still involved with Hollywood. I act, but more importantly, I am taking up the role as a producer and developing a TV show. It's going to really be a talk show, actually, and incorporate things that I love, like spirituality, culture, purpose, all those wonderful things, and just what's going on, I think, in the world. But I do other things. I speak around the world. I enjoy that. I write on various topics. I have my show. Obviously, I'm very busy doing lots of interviews on many, many platforms and sharing what I can. The Dharma Ambassador is something that I'm passionate about, because that's where spirituality comes into play. And of course, my other passion in life is traveling. And I've been to about 100 countries and absolutely loved every place I've been to. I feel home, and the place always has also loved me and completely welcomed me, into their life. So it's been quite a magical journey so far. It's, you have to be fearless. I've been brave and bold and fearless and I travel alone everywhere. So, I live a very different life. I think I have a different sort of perspective on the world. And, but my risk has paid off handsomely. I think the reward has always come for me. So, I just take the road less traveled. And I think that's my sort of message to people. It's follow your bliss, follow your joy, and don't be scared. Just always be fearless and joyful on your journey.
Preity, I really am feeling such a soul sisterhood with you. And I'm just enamored with your journey, and I'm enamored with the experience that, my own version of it, I relate very much to being in the corporate world, being quite successful, and then at a certain point knowing if I need to perform this version of a person, I remember thinking, like, first of all, I'll be very miserable, and I'll also maybe like weigh 300 pounds, and that life will be work rather than it will be a path through my purpose. And so what feels most out of all the things that you just shared with us, I really feel the clarity of this sense of what it means to follow your navigation, follow your meditation, follow your bliss, and to embody it in a way that is not like a B plan. Like if living my dharma gets interesting or tricky, that somehow I've got some other B plan for it. It's like being embodied in it and how full it is and what it's giving you and what it's telling you. It's a different life path, but one that I also recognize is I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't go back to like someone else's prescription. And so share with us a little bit more about what that really means, right? To follow your meditation and your bliss, and how that is, because I know people want to live their purpose, and there's stuff to understand about that I know will benefit everyone.
Yeah, that's also a fantastic question. And it's funny that the universe brought me right here in LA, which is the epicenter of the world in many ways, but it's also the epicenter of confusion and illusion and not knowing who you are and why you're here. So it's so spiritual on the one hand and so unclear on the other. And I think the sort of the paradox of that is very interesting. I think for me, it's been interesting to sort of get thrown in the den with the wolves. And maybe that was the only way that I would shine. I would come out on top, triumphant. Like yourself, I think you need to reach a point in your life where you know that you can't be doing anything else, because this is what brings you joy, and anything else feels like work. It feels tedious, it's lethargic, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're mentally and emotionally exhausted, as well as physically. You start to get ill because you just don't want to get up and do the grind, the daily grind. So I'm lucky that I was kind of born into a very kind of spiritual and maybe mindful culture and family, I would say. They always sort of, I grew up with very spiritual parents, and that worldview was always instilled in me and prevalent, that the detachment aspect of it, that none of this is real.
It's a video game.
Yes, a lot of as I've traveled around the world, I've realized that a lot of spiritual souls, beautiful souls, have gone through hell and back. They've literally gone around the world to maybe come to the place where I was already born into. you know, and Westerners want to get, you know, they go to India to find themselves, and or they sort of look at Indian culture and all of these beautiful traditions to sort of get some a meaning in life and sort of a perspective that makes sense to them. And I think I should be so grateful because I didn't have to go anywhere. It was all here. And for me, particularly, my family was very, you know, they were already there, you know, so I had great role models. But being in LA, you realize that they become your tools, your spirituality, your clarity, detachment, all of that, compassion, all of that becomes absolutely your fortitude, because this is a jungle and it's a maze. It's there's a lot going on. You're dealing with a lot of sharks along the way. And it's very kind of aloof. You don't really know if people are coming or going. So you need to be grounded and rooted, I think. And I came with that, and that it got strengthened a lot. It got challenged a lot. But you know, for me, I've tried so many things in my life. And, you know, I know what makes me happy and joyful. It's when I'm living my purpose, when I know that I'm making a difference in the world. Also with me, I've sort of, my whole life has been dedicated to researching and sort of uncovering the mysteries of life, so to speak. And I have lots of knowledge, lots of information, data, and so on. I think part of my journey and my purpose is also to sort of share that with the world, because the world is very hungry and it's looking for that specific kind of information, but they're not getting it. They're not getting it in a way that they can process it, or they're not getting it maybe from the right person, in the right tone, in the right way, in the right language. So I feel like I have some gifts to be able to do that for the world, and I must continue that. So that, I think, and even a little bit of feedback, even from just one person, when they say I was touched, something changed in me, thank you, it's amazing. It makes my day, and I know that it's all worth it in the end.
I feel that. I as I am listening to you, Preity, I can really I'm taking in, you know, another person on the planet that is living their purpose, living inside of it, really embodied in it. And again, where it's not a B plan, and where it really does allow you to have this sense almost of like, this is a video game in a way, right? And so it gives the freedom to explore, right? It gives the freedom to evolve. And it takes, to me, it really feels like it takes you out of prescriptive living, right? And I get that the fortunateness for you of coming into life with quite the spiritual framework to support you, right? And the dharma framework, the purpose framework, is one that I know you and I want to be there for everyone from the moment they're born, so that their life is not complex and confusing. And the way that you were describing it, it can have this quality of feeling like an albatross, rather than when you're deeply connected to yourself, and when you're connected to your intentions and your purpose, the way it navigates you through things, and the way it allows you to influence things, and recognize the depth of it without getting caught up in lots of complex emotional structures, right? That are confusing. And this is so lovely to hear, because as somebody that's came into this world with a purpose to evolve a people's emotional capacity so they can really operate at the most elevated level, this level, this dharma ambassador that you are, right, is really, it's clear why you're a global thought leader and an ambassador for people to embody this lifestyle, which is really the one that they're meant to live. So I want to add a little bit more, which is just the interesting piece of how the entertainment part, right? And how I really resonate with that, because I see so clearly that entertainment is really where we're able now to get what I'm like, it seems like edutainment. And so I can just see that your impact in the world, where you're whatever you're doing in the world of entertainment, you're really elevating the way that entertainment is meant to transform us. Is that something that does that resonate for you?
Yes, and I think even when I moved here 10 years ago, I did think that Hollywood was a great platform. I always had this, my vision was I'm going to become a global superstar, and suddenly I'm going to have this great audience and stage and the reach, and I can do like deeper work. I can do my life's work then. And I think that was a kind of a specific kind of mindset. But since then, obviously, I've done a lot of work on myself, and I myself have evolved. My purpose has refined and defined, and now I don't look at it like I need to be this person and have this reach. I know that there are many ways of doing that, and also instead of being a movie star and then be able to sort of make your your contribution that way, I think you can actually start with, if you want to put together a cultural show and enlighten people, why don't you focus on that? And you don't need to wait to be some movie star in order to do that. Start that right now. Things will fall into place. Whatever needs to happen will happen. I am a big believer in the concept of divine timing. I do know that is a real thing. And you have to trust the universal timing, because usually it's not your timing and it's not the ego's timing. And the ego is very upset because the ego wants everything yesterday, and it doesn't work like that. And it's very hard to be patient and to have faith, but one must do that because we don't have anything else.
I love
anyway,
this.
that's what life is about. So I definitely, that's a big part of why I'm still in this industry, because there's many other things I do. I could and there are many other things that I'm continuing to do. New doors are opening, even since COVID. COVID has been such a godsend, I think, in from a spiritual perspective. I think people have gone in internally and woken up to their true potential and all that beautiful stuff. And certainly for me, I've never been busier. I've never been more in demand than I did more in media engagements last year than probably the last 5 years put together.
Wow.
Because people are hungry for this, and I'm available and accessible, and through beautiful technology, we are able to reach the world. So it's been amazing for me. I'm very grateful. 2021 is equally amazing, probably much bigger, and next year will be even better than that. So and there is no time anyway. It's a man-made construct. No. The only thing is the present moment. Okay. I think even myself, I'm such a future planner. I know, always as an investment sort of banker, I always look at long-term, 10 years, 5 years. For me now, it's only present moment. That's it, and what are you doing right now in the next breath, the next moment, because that's all that you have anyway.
Yeah, so many things here, Preity, like just even connecting to the way in which I can see the paradigm that was, in order to be of influence or to be creative, it was like everybody in the world needs to somehow go to Hollywood and be a movie star in order to live an elevated life. And, we're obviously in such a evolved culture now where we can actually serve now and put stuff into the world and be it and resonate it and put it into the physics equation, right? And allowing it to do things now and to incubate whatever's coming up in the divine timing, and all of that. And it all makes so much sense to me, where it's like, you don't have to go all the way down a certain path in order to actually be on your path. The fact is, you're on it right now, right? You're on it right now. You get right now. And I really want to hear more about what the show's going to be and what's going on with all of that, so we can all actually start to experience it by you just letting us know about it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's funny because ironically, before COVID, I was putting together a show, and that was a travel show. It was sort of a going to the mysterious, the unseen, beautiful, let's say vortexes of the planet, and all these very powerful spots, spiritual places. It was like that, some kind of spiritual journey. and I love it. And one day I'm sure that show will manifest. But COVID happened, and then I realized I don't think travel and even for me logistically to go and shoot this show is just not going to happen in the next several years. So let me look at what else I'm passionate about and knowledgeable about. And the things that came up were spirituality, culture, purpose, soft power, feminism, power in general, but also I don't want to say politics, but I want to say geopolitics. Globally, what's happening in the world, political trends, the way the world is going, the balance of power. I think COVID especially has kind of shook the world, and suddenly the stage is reset. And I think powers that used to be for the last 100 years, they are in a different position today, and we have new emerging markets, emerging powers, different groups are coming up, different nations are really coming to the table, the high chair, so to speak, which is needed and beautiful. We need it. So I think that's something that I'm deeply immersed in: foreign policy, international relations, a little bit conflicts. How do we mend those conflicts and so on? So, I mean, combining it or either show, I think, would be something that is a natural fit for me. It would be, I would just be being myself, which is what you want to do if you ever host a show. You have to be so comfortable in your skin and be able to, even if you don't have a script, you should be able to speak for 2 hours straight, just from your heart, because you know what you're talking about, and there's a deeper understanding, and you have greater context. So I think these areas are the ones where I can really give, contribute and do my sort of edutainment to the world, I guess. So I think the fine details are being manifested, I should say, as we speak. The right show will come, and the right team and all of that will come. But very excited, because I do it on a smaller level now, but I think on the big stage will be great. And I think the world is very hungry for something like this.
So much so. And I appreciate so much what it means to say, this is a saying that we have in my company, I've been saying for 20 years, which is, I am who I am, and I call it a job. And to me, it doesn't feel like a job. It just looks like one. And, as somebody who really relates to the reasons why spiritual emotional development is our biggest geopolitical priority, quite honestly, I absolutely look forward to, following you and learning from you and being really transformed in a process that feels like it's doing what's needed now, which is to bring everyone into a state of evolution where we are not just in some micro process with ourselves, but we can understand we are a part of this amazing matrix, and how the butterfly effect is in progress, and to really expand people's perspective so that they can use their incredible, powerful, creative capacity just by the way they think about things, just by the way they're understanding the world that we're living in, for it to evolve so that, again, we don't have a world full of brilliant, creative people and then this albatross of chaos going on, right? Which is, from a spiritual, emotional depth level, like conscious level, does not make any sense based on the resources of who people are at this time. So yeah, I really do feel this show manifesting and how important it is. Yeah. Very, very, very cool. So Preity, the different things that you have done in terms of the economic leadership and the things that you've participated in, and again, I'm really inspired because I can just feel how these are your purposeful priorities. What's it like to be, participating in such things that are highly influential in the world that we live in?
So that's a great point. I never even thought about it we do these, or some people they do a lot of these summits and so on, high profile ones, and I suppose they don't even look back to think that it's a really a privileged position. For me, I never sought out any of this. Like, much of my life I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't have a list of, okay, I'd like to speak at blah, blah, blah. They all happen very organically. And I think how public speaking or professional speaking happens is you go to one, somebody in the audience loves your style, and they come up to you and give you a card and say, can you speak here? Can I connect you? That's how it goes. Word of mouth. It's always, people have to be touched by you up there on the stage. And that's the best way that you're going to get your next gig, always, so always just be honest and do your best. For me, the interesting thing is the various sort of summits I've spoken at have been very varied, I would say, in theme and context, because I've done, a lot of like women empowerment things, whether it's, women's economic forum in India, where you had global female leaders come and talk about different issues, or I did something for African women's here in LA. That's also incredible. So that's for more female, but then you do these things like Horaces. That's the global summit where you have prime ministers, presidents of countries come, royalty and all of that, a different level. I must say it's nice. I think I maybe it's nice and not nice that these are all usually, other than the female women's events, the rest of them are very male dominated. So it's a lot of men. You'd be like, I've done panels and sort of round tables where there's 20 guys and me, and they're 2 or 3 times my age. They're usually older men. And I mean, they're not necessarily white men. They're whatever, men from every country, let's say. But the female sort of quotient is very limited. I don't have a problem with that. I can hold my own with these people. And I think what I've learned about men is they are inclusive. They do want more females involved. And if you bring it, trust me, they will notice and they will make space for you. I know that when I'm at these panels, they don't know who I am. The minute I open my mouth, by the end of my talk or engagement, they're all clapping, they're all nodding, they're all completely in agreement, and they come up to me and they shake my hand. They're like, "You're amazing." That happens everywhere. So I just think, don't look at yourself as female, male. Like you're a human being with something to share. Own it. Be proud of who you are. And I think women also bring something very unique to the discourse. Is this the female touch? Maybe your delivery is different, or whatever. Your context perspective may be different. You may be adding like a human touch to it, which is needed. But whatever you bring is valuable. It is needed. So just know that. And I always go into that like, no, these people want to hear what I have to say, and trust me, they do. Because men, it's not like they're any better or not better than us, and they don't think that they're better than anyone. I think it's all, look, at the end of the world, this is a merit-based world, ultimately, karmically as well, right? You either have it or not, and if you have it, you should flaunt it and do that. So I've enjoyed, I think, the speaking aspect of my life, especially these global things, and it's a small group. You get to meet lots of interesting people, and they're always in exotic places around the world, and they'll fly you up and put you up in a nice hotel, and there's a lot of partying that happens after, and you
Sign
see
me
these
up,
people
Preity.
really kind of put their up, and it's amazing, And no, it's been fun, whether it's in China, Japan, India, Switzerland, wherever. I've enjoyed. I've been to many places in this manner, I suppose, and I've enjoyed all of them. It's great.
It sounds incredible. This is, in terms of living one's purpose, their dharma. This is fully living, right? I get that, the exploration of everything. I do want to add that when you need a wing woman, I am completely and totally available.
You're too cute. You'd be surprised how many men say, can I just come with you in your suitcase? I'll just lock myself in your suitcase, and can I just travel with you? I can be your help if you want, just your whatever you want from me. Just take me along, because your life sounds like a dream. Now, obviously, it sounds like a dream. It is a lot. It's not a dream. Right. I have my ups and downs. Trust me, just like everybody, I experience the good, the bad, especially the ugly. So but the good. And
Got it.
I own it. So I own everything about my life, I guess.
I feel that, Preity. Something that's really coming up for me that I love, I want us to explore is, again, thinking of just tracking you there in the entertainment industry in Beverly Hills, again, as you said, like to me, it's really the epicenter of creativity, and also, as you said, it's like the epicenter of creativity and chaos, right? And there's a lot of emotional programs running there, and I just feel really glad to know you are there. I can see why you are there, grounding that field there of what's going on and bringing purpose to it just by your very presence. As an emotional scientist, I am somebody who tracks a lot of what's going on with a lot of influential people. And I really track how, especially like the reality TV arena, and how, here we are, people have these incredible platforms to elevate the world. And what I track is just how much reactivity and volatility is going on there. And so in thinking about how important it is for people in the entertainment industry, let alone all of us, and especially there in LA, to be connected to purpose rather than this chaos, it just really makes so much sense to me. And being here in California, up in Northern California, I recognize why California has a lot of spiritual people, but also needs us here. Needs us to be present and residing here, wherever we're traveling, wherever else we're going.
It's funny when you look at, absolutely. So well put. And also the funny thing about spirituality is now there are also levels there. There are the genuine seekers, the people really who are very sincere, I think, with their search, with their pursuit of the truth and living their life in the right way. And then there's a lot of sort of Hollywood spirituality, people just getting into yoga, meditation, or whatever, just because it's some kind of a fad, or they want to look better, or they're doing all these things for the wrong reason, and it never lasts, and it never ends, and there's really no growth in it. It's very superficial. So I think that's been a bit interesting to watch, sort of the superficiality of spirituality in Hollywood and in Los Angeles, California. It's been interesting, but I think COVID has actually done a number on that, because everything is closed. So the people who are not sincere, they're not doing any of these things. They've moved on already. So it's good, actually. I think only the real people are, they've stuck with it, because it's demanding. It asks a lot of you. And you have to be dedicated and disciplined and genuine, I think, honest with yourself. And that path has to be very, like, with an integrity. And it's not often the case with people who are just dabbling in it, And so that's also been interesting. And I think it's like a trap, because it traps you. You get a little taste of it, and suddenly you think you're some yogi, and there's a lot of sort of confusion around that too. But I would say that COVID has actually kind of it's done something interesting to that sort of side of spirituality, where suddenly I only see the real thing. And when things finally get back to, when they're all fully open, I just think that things are never going to go back to how they used to be. And it's really only the sincerity that's going to shine. And that's a good thing.
It's really powerful what you're saying, because there is, it's a whole era of like trying to be an influencer for a purpose that is so much more ego driven, which, as you say, it's basically, it's a flimsy structure to operate on. Because also, as I think about, the person doing that is experiencing all the negative effects of that, and then creating a resonating negative footprint. And we all know, those of us who are connected now to the laws of physics and how it all works, it's creating something unintentional that person's experiencing. And I love what you're saying, because when you are embodied in purpose, and you connect to that over and over, and you eventually just reside there is a through line through everything, including a worldwide pandemic and whatever wiring of things that is going on, whatever, the next level of what's being established, there's a through line, and you don't worry. You're not like, oh, what's going to happen? Am I going to, have work to do? Like, you just, that stuff doesn't even come up. You're just like, I'm moving through the next thing that I'm being navigated to do in this purposeful experience. Really, really powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the journey has been so exciting. The journey has been so exciting so far. And I think the next chapter is here. And it's starting now for me. And I think it's going to be more exciting. And also, a lot of it is unknown. I honestly don't know 6 months from now what is going to happen, because I feel like there's going to be many new things in my life. And I may be, I'll be in LA, but maybe a year from now, maybe not, and right. I'm open to that. I think also living here for so long, it's been a beautiful ride, but there's a whole world out there, and I'm very open to, if I need to relocate, if I need to be a digital nomad, as we're seeing people. And I think COVID is the perfect time for this, where you can spend a few months in Bali or Thailand or the Caribbean, or, do your thing. And look, technology has enabled us to travel anywhere, be mobile, share your message, especially if you're an author or a speaker or a teacher. This is the best time to really get a global sort of classroom, let's say. So I'm very excited.
It is. And just thinking of our audience, Preity, even further, and they're, again, identifying as people who are more sensitive. And we know, I get a sense, we know this is a superpower. It's a gift to be able to be deeply intuitive. And it also comes with absorbing all kinds of things that we may not be intending to receive, and sort of how that can program us for stuff. And go like, how the hell did I get here? And so, connecting to this audience and the way they, this to me, I track this as people are born this way. They come in already having this purpose. Maybe people who are raising them don't always understand what they're stewarding, and so things get a little rocky along the way. But what would you say to them about, again, really being able to live their dharma and have a life that is their version of what you're doing? What would you recommend to them?
Oh yeah, it's so important. I think from my own experiences, what I can share with people is the destination is unknown to us. We haven't seen that. You have to just be present and take one step at a time, and don't be scared or worried when you maybe have to go off on a tangent, or when you don't really see the light ahead, at the end of the tunnel. But just keep going. I think movement is very important. Obviously there's this phrase or term, I should say, karma, is so famous and global. It's probably as famous as dharma. Yeah. But people think that karma is just a equal and opposite reaction. They just think it's like I do something, it comes back to me. That's not what karma is. The karma is a Sanskrit word which literally means action. So in the spiritual holy scriptures, when they talk about karma, basically they're saying you can't sit idle. You have to act. Ideally, you take the right action, but movement. Keep moving. Keep doing your dharma. You obviously need to do what you're here, what you're meant to do. But life is about movement, and like from one breath to the next, from one action to another. So. Keep plodding away, because if you are true to yourself, you will get there. And always ask for guidance. I think, I don't know, whatever your faith is, whether you believe in angels or, the light, the source, spirit animals, spirit guides, whatever, there is help out there. Just tap into that universal consciousness and just ask to be guided. Because I think it's important that that the guidance is available to all of us, and you just pray for it. Trust me, you'll be in the right place at the right time. Even if it doesn't look like it is, just go with it. Because in my life, I have found myself in so many sticky situations, or in so many sort of crossroads or tangents where it actually was perfect, and I just kept going, and at the turn was where I needed to be. But if I had retreated, or if I had run the other way, when I was in sort of an unknown place, I wouldn't get where I needed to be, because where I needed to be was actually very, very close to where I was. So always know that just be fearless and bold and brave, and I guess lead from love, or live in your heart, and you'll get there. You'll find yourself, and you may end up in a place where maybe you didn't imagine. Maybe it's not quite the vision that you had in your mind, but if you truly are true to yourself, trust me, the universe loves you. It has your back, right? So it will make sure you end up for your highest good, the best place.
Yeah.
It's all going to work out in the end, and I have to tell myself this every day, especially living in LA during COVID.
Wow. This is so helpful and supportive. The saying in my company, and again, which really flows through me purposely, is forward, forward, forward. And if I had to sort of boil down what my purpose feels like in its simplest form, is for people to go forward, and everything, to go forward with intention. Let me be clear about that. But even forward is an intention, right? Because we spend so much time, people are conditioned to go backward and all over the place. And there's something really beautiful that you're saying about motion, go forward. And thank you for getting us so much more clear on what that word karma means, and that we are, I think about it, we're already in motion. I say to my team and our clients, the mechanism is never off. Even when we go to sleep, the mechanism is going. And so go forward, give it direction, get the data, right? Keep moving. And feels like the experience we're meant to have. So I feel really aligned with that, and also very elevated in my understanding of that, Preity. So thank you. Couple things here before we wrap today. One is, let us all know where we should be following you and tracking everything, and really getting everything that you have to share with us. Where should we track you at? What website? Stuff like that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share and connect with everyone, your viewers. I am everywhere, so that's good. I'm accessible, pretty active in social media. So on Twitter, I am the Preity Effect, and you'll see me. I'm passionate about, sports and, the travel, food, geopolitics, all of that stuff. So my social media is not just my sort of career, or what I do for a living, or my purpose. It's not the serious stuff. There's a lot of fun things too. You'll see different sides. So Twitter, the Preity Effect. Instagram is also the Preity Effect. Facebook, you can find me. I have sort of a official Preity Upala page. I have my personal page too, but you can contact me with either one. Okay. I have my website is being designed, but I have just set up a website for my podcast, which is the PreityExperience.com, and the content is going to be uploaded very shortly, but the site it just sort of went live. So check that out. LinkedIn as well, Preity Upala. And for all my writings and interviews, YouTube, if you just Google my name and put a topic, whatever it is, you'll get all the content. I have my own channel, of course, the Preity Experience. And that's my podcast, as well as sort of a collection of all my interviews. And if you just Google my name and write media or articles or journalist and put a specific topic, karma, spirituality, whatever, all my pieces will come up, because they've been published globally all over. Yeah. So they're kind of spread around. So just find them and please reach out. I love to engage with my followers and listeners and all that. And if you have specific questions about my culture, my background, because people do, please ask me. I love to sort of, talk about that. I'm very passionate about that. So do share, reach out, just let me know what your journey has been like, and so on. And if you want to invite me to speak to a group or school, you have the church, university, anything corporate. I do lots of corporate client, sort of groups. That's my joy. So please, please do. And you want to invite me on your platform too, just get in touch with me in that way.
Nice, Preity. Fabulous. One last question. And you have given us so much wisdom already. And I still want to ask this question that I ask at the end of every show that I do on this show, the Elevate Your Life show. And the question is about, if there were some random, or I guess not really random, reason that you were not able, like that this was actually the moment where you were giving your last message to the world that would carry forth through the generations, reverberate, and really elevate people's life, and people would know, this is what Preity taught me. What would that message be?
Oh, wow. Wonderful question. It's the $64 million question. My message to the beautiful souls who are listening, or the soul who's listening, would be, life is Maya. It's all an illusion. It doesn't exist. You are the light. You are the universal consciousness. You are divinity itself. So know that you're perfect. Know that you're worthy. Know that you already are there. Love yourself. Give compassion to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. Just be the light that you wish to see in the world, because the world doesn't exist. It's just a mirror. It's only you in another vibration, in another form. So just always know that there is no out there. It's all you. It's all in here. So come from here and keep going back home. Keep going to your heart and live from there. And I think you'll find your life, your light there, your happiness there, and also be yourself, because everyone else is taken. So always be yourself. And don't be afraid to take that, that odd choice, that turn, because I think everything that you want, it's at the other side of fear. It's at the other side of that valley or river. So you just need to go through that, and everything that you want is actually waiting for you. It has your name on it. So just go forth with the force. May the force be with you.
Wow, Preity, thank you so much for being with us. Your presence is just a gift. I want to invite everybody who's been hanging out with us and sharing this conversation with us to take in everything that's of service to you and apply it and enjoy it in all the ways that Preity has been sharing with you, and follow along with this Preity experience, because it's a pretty awesome one. Thanks for being with us, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Namaste, everyone, and namaste, Dr. T. Thank you.
Thank you.